to the basement.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Basement Boys Podcast. I am Chris Gray. That is Eric Mincer. Back again, twice in 1 week, episode 29. And let's get it started. Where do you want to start, Eric?
Well, this is a very interesting week where we had our first ever WAP, Wednesday afternoon pigskin.
Oh my god.
WAP. We did it. Yes.
Wow, okay.
So we had the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the decimated Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, but that was not a surprise.
It was not. It's surprising how close it was.
Yeah, that was.
The
RG3 played well, man.
Yeah, until he got hurt, which
Yeah.
is sad because you saw him grab his leg and I was watching with my dad and we were both, oh no.
Yeah. It
He's
was one of those rough ones.
He's in that category with Alex Smith of if he's on the field, you want him to do well but
Yeah.
not get hurt.
Exactly.
Interesting game because you saw two teams that really hadn't gotten the opportunity to practice, let alone practice outdoors, play in 28-degree weather. First quarter, first 10 minutes of the game, you had both teams fumble it, both teams throw interceptions. One of them was a pick six, and they missed the extra point. That was just first 10 minutes. Then the Steelers had, I think, 6 drops as a team. There was an interception that was dropped. There was a completion where Juju had caught it, turned around, fumbled it out of bounds. You could just see the rust of not having the practice and just a very strange time.
Yeah, Tomlin was not happy after the game. When they asked him about the drops, he goes, "Oh, what do you think contributed to your guys dropping the ball so much?" And he goes, "Us sucking."
Really?
Yeah.
So he's not shying away from it.
Yeah.
Eric Ebron on Twitter, some fan called him out and said, "Dude, you got to catch that." And he's like, "Yeah, you're right."
You're right.
Ebron had a good game. He just dropped a couple passes. But
Yeah.
the Ravens dropped them too at the end of the first half. I don't know how they had 20 seconds to rush up and make a play.
Yeah.
They ended up getting the playoff with 3 seconds left, throw it to the end zone, and I don't even know who the third string tight end. It might have been Luke Wilson because Andrews was out, Nick Boyle was out. Luke Wilson just drops it a touchdown. So the Ravens were in the game.
No, they really were.
Hollywood Brown with the 75-yard touchdown from Trace McSorley.
Yeah. Best name. I don't know why, but McSorley is just a great name.
I recently found out he's really big on TikTok. He's really big on TikTok. And then for the Steelers, we know Juju is a social media guy.
Yeah, did you see his post? He goes, "Imagine being fucking stiff-armed 10 yards by a TikTok influencer."
Yeah, he's got a point.
I mean, it happened.
There's a big Wednesday afternoon game for TikTok stars.
100%.
And the craziest part is, you know why the game was at 3:40? Because NBC was contractually obligated to start the Christmas tree lighting at 7 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
So some guy, probably a year and a half ago, was like, let's do the Christmas tree lighting at 7 o'clock on a Wednesday. That won't get in the way of anything, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then 2020 happened, and bam, we have to have an afternoon football game because of a tree lighting ceremony.
I mean, shit happens.
Yeah.
But that I feel really bad for the Steelers because they're lucky that the Ravens were so decimated on that thing, because if they had a full team with the rust and all the things you're talking about, they've been fucked over twice now because of other people's COVID problems.
Right, and they lost Bud Dupree in that game.
Yeah.
That's a huge loss. You're losing Bud Dupree, and Devin Bush is already out for the year. So TJ Watt's going to be bringing the heat. As we talked about, the Watt brothers want that title back from the Bosas. But that was a very competitive game.
Yeah, it was a lot more competitive than I thought.
It was very sloppy.
Yeah, but again, no one was able to practice. You're not going to get your timing together. It is what it is.
Yeah,
It's the same thing we were kind of talking about with Kendall, the quarterback.
Yeah, Kendall Hinton for the Broncos. Right.
It's just, what are you gonna do? You're gonna be off timing. Obviously they're in a better situation, being that they've had snaps at the position before.
Oh, that reminds me. That's another quote. I want to start doing this recurring segment of he said what, where Jerry Jones actually said of his quarterback Ben DiNucci that playing Ben DiNucci was the equivalent of having Kendall Hinton coming off practice squad and starting quarterback.
Wow.
I get it. Yeah, Ben DiNucci was trash. Sure. But how do you walk into work knowing that the owner of the team just called you a practice squad player even though you were not on the practice squad?
Just
like,
called you a practice squad wide receiver.
yeah, and you were like the starting quarterback for a couple games.
That's fucking yeah.
Well, the Cowboys are going to face the Ravens on Monday at 5 p.m. because 2020 we have football games at any given time.
Just whenever the fuck we feel like having them.
And that's going to be Andy Dalton versus Trey McSorley. If you had that on your bingo board for 2020, you win.
Yeah, right. You win all of 2020. Like you get everyone else's stimulus check that we're not getting now.
What stimulus checks, bro? I could take 2 of those. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into the Steelers' next game because I have a really hot take on that one. We're gonna get to all the football of the weekend coming up. Before that, we wanted to do a new segment, a fan mail segment.
Before we get to that, just one more thing I wanted to cover: the big trade in the NBA.
What am I thinking? Jesus, got football on the mind. Yes.
So Russell Westbrook gets traded finally, not to the Knicks. What the fuck? For honestly better than the Knicks could have given them. John Wall and another first round pick. I mean, that's a haul.
Yeah, you see Westbrook is going to be reunited with his former coach Scott Brooks in the Washington Wizards. Westbrook's going to be on the Eastern Conference for the first time, which I think it's going to play to his advantage because I don't think there's anybody in the East that can really keep up with him. And like, if Kemba's going to miss the first month of the season, Westbrook's going to be the starter of the All-Star game. If there's an All-Star game, I don't know if that's happening.
And then plus, I think him and Bradley Beal works out a lot better than him and Harden.
I agree.
I think that was one of those trades where you're just like, hey, I think this worked out for everybody.
It did because the Rockets got John Wall, who if he's healthy, we don't know. He hasn't played in 2 years pretty much.
Right. But when he was healthy, everyone thought he was going to be like the next coming. You know what I mean? Like
they're taking a gamble on him and his good friend DeMarcus Cousins. Both of them have missed the last 2 years with injuries.
Right.
They also get a first-round pick out of it, and it's completely possible that the Wizards do not have a great year, and that ends up being a decent pick.
Just being in the East with Wilson, I always do that. Westbrook.
The other Russell.
Because it's Russell W.
Yeah.
And they don't look alike, but they both have very square heads.
Yes. And they both go by Russ sometimes, and
yeah.
we just got to call him Brody. That's Westbrook's nickname. He goes by Brody.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've literally never heard anyone call him that, but okay.
Sorry. All right, well, if that's a thing, somebody leave us a comment. Let me know if I made it up.
Let him know if it's just all in his head.
I got a question. I got a Westbrook jersey on the Rockets. What do I do with it? Anybody want it?
I have a couple ideas. So, what we're going to do is wherever you see this, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube,
Spotify. You don't see it, but you listen and you feel like you see it.
And you head to our Facebook, our Instagram, or our YouTube, whichever one you're on. Leave a like, leave a subscribe, and leave your name, and you'll be entered to win the jersey. How's that sound?
If you want a Russell Westbrook Rockets jersey, like, subscribe, comment, let us know. I also have a Westbrook UCLA jersey, but I'm holding on to that one because UCLA jerseys look nice.
They do. I actually do really like their jersey, and I'm not even like a college sports guy.
I like USC. I'm a rival, but I gotta respect they have nice looking jerseys.
Yeah,
So John Wall actually plays pretty solid defense. They now have a big man,
which is something that the Rockets do not do.
The Rockets didn't have any centers last year. They now have Christian Wood from the Pistons and Boogie Cousins.
Right.
I don't think they're going to be
bad. Wall's not short. Harden's not short.
I don't think they're going to be bad. And Wall seems like the guy who's okay passing the ball as much as possible. Like, he can very easily score, but I think he would be just as happy with 10 assists a game going to Harden and Boogie.
He's more of a facilitator than a ball dominant guy like Westbrook, which is why I think these two situations work out well for everyone. Because I feel like Beal is not as much of a ball dominant guy as Harden is, so he can take that little backseat a little more. And then John Wall is willing to be that facilitator a lot more than Russell Westbrook is.
Yes.
So I just think it just plays into everyone's strength.
But on the flip side, there's also a good chance that John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins are not the same players coming back from their injuries.
That's
You
true.
also you got to think like the off season is only going till December 22nd is when the first game is. So they have 3 weeks to get ready, to get to know each other, to get to play with Harden. There's going to be some growing pains. On the other
for
side,
sure.
Bradley Beal's going to have to learn how to play with Westbrook, who I like Westbrook because I think he has an unmatched energy, but he does have the stigma of being a bad teammate. It's very possible that both GMs left the phone call and was like, all right, well, best of luck to you.
Yeah.
Hope it works out.
Just have fun. But no, I think Boogie Cousins is going to be used more like a Dwight Howard was last year. Like sparingly, like when you need him, not you don't need him to be the Boogie Cousins of 4 years ago.
Right.
You just need him to do enough to help out Harden and Wall.
And I just want to point this out. I want to call out one of my friends who says Boogie Cousins was overrated. His last full season, he had 26 points a game, 12.9 rebounds a game, 5.5 assists, a block and a half a game, shot 35% from three. Like, Boogie Cousins, when he plays, he's a man. Like, he had 6 straight All-Star appearances. He can play.
Yeah, and in 2019, in the little bit he did play, he struggled a little bit coming back, but again, he had some success.
Does he get a ring from the Lakers? Because he was technically a Laker for, like, a part of last season.
I don't think so. I don't think he was there long enough.
Well, that's my segue to the Lakers, who, let's just say, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. The Lakers got everything on their wish list. LeBron signed a 2-year, $85 million extension.
He makes $1.36 a second.
In the time it took me to process that, I think he just made $10.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis just signed a 5-year, $190 million.
Yep.
So the Lakers got their 2 guys for a long time. They got Schroeder, who we talked about, Wesley Matthews, and Montrezl Harrell.
I mean, everyone's calling it like a 5-year deal. It's really a 4-year deal with the extra option.
Right, but I think for the next 2-3 years, the Lakers are going to be really hard to beat.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that 5th year, especially after LeBron leaves, we don't know exactly where that team's going to be. So I wouldn't count on that 5th year.
All right, so here's the question now that NBA Twitter loves to talk about with LeBron. This deal that he's on will expire after 2023, where Bronny James, his son, will be eligible for the NBA draft. Do we think we will actually see LeBron James Sr. and Jr. on the same NBA team?
I think it could happen. If anyone can make it happen, it's LeBron.
Oh, of course, LeBron could do anything he wants at this point.
Yeah, and even in 2023, that's what, 3 years away? The way he takes care of his body and does all the things, like, he might not be LeBron in 3 years, but I could still see him, if he wants to, playing at a high enough level.
Absolutely. And to put it into perspective, he could start for the Knicks at the age of 50.
Yeah.
I'd let that happen.
100%.
But what happens if Bronny comes out, gets drafted by, like, the Pacers? Do you think LeBron would sign a 1-year deal with the Pacers to be, like, with his son?
To play with his son, yeah. He seems like that type of family man. You know what I mean?
And wherever the LeBron family, the James family, shows up, that's going to be a media circus. Like how we now have the balls. That's always going to be funny. The 3 balls are all in the league.
Yeah, D'Angelo just signed to the
Pistons.
Yeah.
So, hey, LeVar Ball, all that trash talking you did like 3 years ago.
Hey, all his sons are in the league.
It worked out.
Yeah.
His son is now an employee of Michael Jordan. Whoa, sorry about that slip. Michael Jordan, owner of the Hornets. LaMelo Ball plays for the Hornets. You know LeVar is itching for that one-on-one that he's been talking about.
Oh, yeah. And I think I've said it on the show already. We're finally going to get to see. We're going to be able to put the rumors to rest. We're going to be able to know who the winner would be, because I know I've been dying for this answer for the past 3 years. Lonzo's been in the league.
Who you got? Jordan Brand, Big Baller Brand.
If we're going by brands, Jordan Brand.
Yeah, I'd say so.
if we're going by basketball players, Jordan Brand.
Yes, I'd say that's the accurate assessment.
Hey man, he averaged like 22 points in high school. All right.
That's something. Yeah. Yeah, Michael Jordan averaged like 35 in the NBA, but who cares?
Yeah,
let it happen.
Hey man.
That's going to bring me to what I don't know if we have a lot to say about it, but another fantasy matchup that we have. This is completely like just on warp speed going to a different time and place.
Okay.
We have Logan Paul, Jose Canseco, celebrity boxing match. Let's make it happen.
He does like smashing Cansecos.
10 out of 10 clapback. For
And
those of you who aren't sure what we're talking about, Jose Canseco called out Logan Paul.
he called out both Paul brothers.
He called out both Paul brothers for their celebrity boxing. Logan Paul was romantically involved with Jose Canseco's daughter.
Yep.
So when Jose Canseco suggested fighting Logan Paul replied, "I love smashing Cansecos."
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know this. Jose Canseco actually did have a short MMA career. Did not work out well for him, but he had it.
Dude, we were talking.
I mean, he has fought before.
We were talking earlier this week about how the Paul brothers have their social media following, legitimate boxers. They could sell a fight. I would watch Jose Canseco in a ring with either of the Paul brothers. I'd watch him in the ring with both the Paul brothers if Jose Canseco can take all the steroids.
Well, yeah, that's what he's gonna do. He's Jose Canseco. Come on, but I think he'd get washed against either brother. I'm not gonna lie.
Probably Jose Canseco's got to be like 55.
Yeah, he's an old man now. B, if you can go check out his MMA fights, it's not
pretty.
Not pretty.
All right.
So it is what it is.
I don't know if we can have this matchup made in heaven where you see a one-on-one of LeVar Ball versus Michael Jordan on a pay-per-view with the undercard being a Paul brother fighting Jose Canseco.
Yo, let's make some money.
It's 2020. Why not? Like,
let's make some fucking money.
Give the people what they want.
All right. So now that we're done with ridiculous shit, let's move on.
We're never done with ridiculous shit on this show.
All right.
Sorry.
Let's move on to a brand new service, brand new segment we just unloaded. If you've seen us on Facebook, on Instagram, anywhere you've noticed, we put out a little phone number. You can call right up, ask some questions, and get them answered right here on the Basement Boys podcast. We're going to jump into that right now. Let's start. I've selected two. I've screened them. Eric has not heard.
I've heard one of them.
Yeah, he's heard one of them.
We're going to start with the first one right now. There was no name left to this caller. So, whoever you are, mystery man, great question. I appreciate you shouting me out, although I don't know who you are. I'm going to assume you're from Queens based on the message. Shall we play it?
Let's hit it.
Hey, Basement Boys. Shout out to Eric, by the way.
That's me.
As the Mets go, I'm really excited. Like Uncle Stevie, I've been watching his press conferences. It's amazing. Total 100% different from fucking Will Ponce. So I don't know if I could curse that. Whatever.
Yes, you can fucking curse.
Curse all the fuck you want, my guy.
But what I really think we should do is throw the house at Trevor Bauer. Just throw the house at him because, oh my God, what a rotation that would be. Especially getting Thor back soon. Like you have DeGrom, Bauer, Syndergaard, Stroh, and then plug and play. You want Peterson, you want Matz. I think Lugo should stay in the pen because his arm hasn't shown like the durability to keep up like as a starter for a full season. But he's a really good piece in the pen. Speaking of that, I really like the Trevor May signing. We need more depth. We need to re-sign Justin Wilson. We need to shore up that bullpen because they lost a lot of games for us. And we can't have DeGrom not winning 20 games next year because of the bullpen. It's ridiculous. And after Bauer, go for Springer. Go for Springer and go for McCann in that case because realistically, I don't think you can get Bauer, Springer, and JT. And JT is amazing overall talent, but McCann isn't too far behind. Like he's had a really good, I think 2 or 3 seasons in a row. I take it. So that's how I think you should go about it. Instead of throwing the house at 2 of the big 3, I mean, let's get 2 and then some wiggle room there. I think Springer and Bauer are a must. JT, we can take him or leave him. We just have to pray that we woo McCann and pray that he wasn't one of those guys who were scared of our whole we must win the World Series in the next 3 to 5 years prediction. But thanks, guys.
All right, thank you for that call. Again, in the future, leave your name because it just shows up
Yeah.
anonymous to us.
Sorry.
Definitely curse as much as you want.
Fuck.
I wholeheartedly agree. Uncle Stevie came in with this attitude of, we're going to win. We're going to be a real team.
Came in with that heavy big dick energy.
Yeah, he came in swinging. But I wholeheartedly agree that Bauer's going to be on the top of every team's list, but if the Mets could get him, like the caller said, DeGrom, Bauer, Stroman, Thor, they just re-signed Matz. Matz has wild home and road splits.
Right.
We were talking about it before the show. In 2019, at home, 6-2, 2.30 ERA. On the road, 3-8, 6.60 ERA. So
great record, fucking trash record. Like it's such a big split. It's usually it'll be like, oh, it's like 6-2 and like, you know, maybe 4-4, but just not even
like literally. I mean, last year he was just horrible overall, but
yeah.
2019,
that the whole shortened season, you can't really get into your groove. I don't take anything from that year.
Grain of salt. I think if we can just, it's gonna sound weird, Matz can be a home starter. Only start him at home.
Yeah,
why not?
And with that rotation, I don't think you're getting two of the big pitchers. I think if you sign Bauer, which I don't want you to because I want to sign him, but
he's a Yankees fan.
Yeah, obviously.
That's why he's got A-Rod. I got Piazza. For those of you watching the video,
all our steroid heroes are right here.
Yeah, well, it's a big day for steroids. I agree with the caller that Trevor May, underrated, great signing. Like, Edwin Diaz obviously is going to always scare Mets fans because he loves to give up home runs.
Yeah.
But he actually came on last year.
Yeah, he did.
He had a good season. If you have Trevor May to shore up the mid-relief, just like the caller said, DeGrom's going to be capable of winning 20 games any season.
Yeah.
The Mets don't score for him, which last year they started to do.
Right.
And the Mets don't have relievers who can carry the game for him, so Trevor May is huge, especially if Lugo's in the bullpen.
Yeah, I was just about to say, and I really like the idea of leaving Lugo in the bullpen because you need a guy like a Chad Green for us who can give you some innings, especially because your bullpen is so bad.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you have a guy who can give you innings, can be used multiple nights because you know he does have some arm length as far as he used to be a starter.
Exactly. And throw in Gazelman, who's in kind of a similar situation of where he's been a starter based on need. He can give the Mets a good inning 2 or 3 nights a week. And what was the other? Peterson, the rookie for the Mets last year, had a great year.
Right.
His first start, I think, was in Fenway, pitched a gem. Like, if he's the 5th starter with Bauer, like, unmatched rotation. I agree.
But literally all you need is Bauer because then you go, I'm assuming DeGrom's still going to be the ace. So DeGrom, Bauer, Syndergaard, Stroman, and then whoever else the fuck you want from your AAA
Peterson for the 5th starter, why not? Like, let him go.
I know, but if Matt starts coming back around, if like you have so many more options, like you could honestly be okay even if you didn't get Bauer. Because you still have one of the strongest starting rotations.
Just those 3 alone of DeGrom, Stroman, Syndergaard right there. That's a great 1, 2, 3. Well, not
as long as Syndergaard can stay healthy.
Yeah, well, that's going to be the main issue. And also, Stroman opted out last season, so he's going to have some rust to deal with. I believe he's been training his ass off. Like, I think he'll be fine. But
they wouldn't have paid him the money they did if they didn't expect him to rebound.
Right. Especially Steve Cohen seems like he knows what he's doing. The Wilpons never did. Steve Cohen does. My only concern is that what the caller says about getting Bauer and Springer and Real Muto, like, obviously those are the top 3 guys that every team's going to go after. So, yes, 100%. You're right. We should absolutely throw the house at and go for 2 of 3 of them. It's just going to be really hard when, like, your Yankees are going to throw the house at Bauer. Like, the Padres are an up-and-coming team who have a lot of young players. They're going to throw everything at Bauer. Depending
on if they decide to move on from Sanchez or not, they might throw the house at JT Realmuto too.
No, the Yankees just tendered Sanchez.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, it was one of those, like, overnight, nobody saw it, but the Yankees, $5 million for the rest of for 2021.
Okay.
So Gary's back for the Yankees.
Which I don't think is a bad play, especially if they want to focus on pitching.
My question for this caller, Mystery Man, is if the Mets can't get Springer, although I think Springer said he kind of wants to come to New York. It seems possible.
Yeah.
Would you like to see Marcell Ozuna come to the Mets? He had a great year with the Braves. We know he can hit. We know he can field. I would be very okay with that. We got to just, because I'm afraid that the Mets are going to do this thing of, we're going to get Bauer, we're going to get Springer, we're going to get Real Muto, we're going to be the best, and then just based on those insanely high expectations, we'll fall short. But still, we can still get other players.
But, see, that's the thing. I feel like a lot of people are making it like, oh, he comes out and saying, no, we have to win in the next 3 to 5 years, or blah, blah, blah. Oh, it's so much pressure on these players. There's so much pressure on these players. These are professional athletes.
Right.
You don't think they thrive in that pressure? You don't think they want to go to an organization that says, no, we're putting the pieces together so we can win. We're not, like, you're not dealing with just randos on the street who's never worked for nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're all professionals. They all want to win. Like,
I feel like having an organization that is just like, no, 3 to 5 years, we're getting this done.
Well,
that's the place you'd want to go.
Well, the caller was talking about James McCann, and the only thing I could think of is that McCann was on the White Sox, who made the playoffs last year. Huge up-and-coming team of this great young lineup. Does he think he has a better chance of winning with the White Sox or with the Mets? And I think that Bauer could very easily go to either of those teams and make them a World Series contender.
Yep.
So, I mean, we got Trevor May, but it's the other Trevor that has all the power.
It's true.
Bauer power.
Yeah, so great call. Thank you again, Mystery Man. Yeah, just don't forget to leave your name and where you're from. We're a sports show. You know how sports shows work. It is what it is.
All right, so we're ready for this next call. Chris has heard. I have not heard, so I'm going to be reacting to it live.
Okay, so when I set up this whole messaging system for the show, that first call was exactly what I thought I was going to get.
100%.
This next call is exactly what I was hoping was going to happen.
All right.
These are some real issues, people.
Hey, what's going on, Basement Boys? Love your podcast. Everybody listen and be sure to like and subscribe. So, yeah, my name is Richard Long. They call me Dick. And I had a couple of questions for you guys. So, number one, is cereal soup? Because now I understand that soup is usually hot, but there's cold soup called gazpacho. Now, if we're going by the texture, I would say that cereal is soup. But what do you guys think? And then I've also got a part two to that question, and it would be, is a hot dog a sandwich? Now, I've heard people call burger sandwich, which I'm highly against. Cheeseburgers are not sandwiches. Sandwiches are different. But what about a hot dog? No one's ever touched on this, and I think that you guys could really shed some light. So, yeah, this is Dick Long checking out. Everybody, again, like and subscribe. Appreciate it.
Richard, you are my new favorite human being on the planet. Let me just throw that out there right now.
That's
yes,
Mr. Dick Long to you.
I have actually very, very impassioned thoughts on all these topics. So I'm going to break them down point by point as you brought them to me. Cereal, not fucking soup, all right? And let me tell you why. Yes, it is liquid with something in it, and I understand that. And I understand that there can be soups, hot or cold.
He's the chef, so his opinion counts.
This is literally my job, people, all right? So, but when have you ever had a sweet soup? And not sweet like as in tomatoes or blah, 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 blah. I mean sweet. You want to argue that like fucking...
Any soup from Red Lobster is going to be sweet just based on the butter involved.
Yeah, but that's still a hearty type taste.
Okay, fair.
So there's no like dessert soups.
Are those the parameters for soup? It has to be hearty? Because the way I look at it, like the caller says, you have a liquid in a bowl and you can change what's in it. Like you could have broth, you could have chicken noodle soup, you could have matzo ball soup, you could have gazpacho, which is a cold soup.
I
you
agree.
could have different things. Just like a cereal, you could have Fruity Pebbles, you could have a fruit flavor, you could have a chocolate like Cocoa Puffs, you could have peanut butter. You can get healthy with it, which is lame as shit. But I think if you're using a spoon to take something out of a bowl and put it in your mouth, like that to me is soup.
I 100% disagree because soup is a hearty, it's a meal, it's not sweet, it's got that savoriness that you need. It's got the butter, it's got the spices, it's got everything. Like I understand where he's coming from just based on texture, but
I wouldn't put it past anyone in America to have a buttered cereal.
that's I can agree with you there, but you get my point. There's no dessert soups. There's no blah 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 blah. You don't melt ice cream and call it soup.
What about like chocolate pudding?
That's not soup. That's definitely not soup.
It's in a bowl.
If anything,
It could be hot. It could be cold.
If anything, that's more of a sauce, like applesauce.
Fair. If you made it more liquidy, would they be soup? We're gonna post this poll to our Facebook, to our Instagram.
Yep.
Comment in YouTube. Let us know, is cereal soup? The next one is actually, I think, has been discussed. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No, I have first.
I'm gonna disagree with you again.
100% disagree with you, caller. You are my favorite person, and I love you, but 100% disagree. Cheeseburger is a sandwich.
Yes.
It is literally the definition
can
of
agree.
a sandwich.
Yes.
It is meat and cheese in between bread. What else is a sandwich?
You put your hands on the top bun, the bottom bun. That is how you eat a sandwich. Hot take. You can eat a hot dog that way.
So I'm going out on a limb right here on the Basement Boys, letting it all out right now. Hot dog sandwich. Fucking
Yes.
lock it in.
Yes. Okay, so we agree on this one. I agree. A hot dog is a sandwich. A sandwich, you put meat in between breads. You can customize it. You want some lettuce on that bitch? Throw some lettuce on that bitch. Your hot dog, you want sauerkraut. You could put different condiments on it. There's
Throw
a lot
some
of
chili on that bitch, some cheese.
a lot of different ways you could go, just like with sandwiches, man. Those corner hot dog guys are basically mobile delis when you think about it.
And it's all made of like, it's basically pork, depending on what you're getting, like pork dogs, beef dogs, whatever. It's basically just bologna.
I'm so hungry just talking about this. I want a bowl of soup, and by soup I mean Lucky Charms,
Fuck out of here.
and a hot dog.
This show might break up over the cereal soup.
Well, this is
Question.
this is our big embrace debate. Like, we need Devin to weigh in to be the third party and sort it out. Actually, no, we want the fans to decide. But that's going to be our new thing. So call in, leave us questions.
You know what? Do me a favor right now. Text Devin. See if he can call you for 2 seconds to answer the debate.
All right, we're going to keep rolling with the pod, but I am texting Devin. Sorry about that one. That's just ESPN letting me know how great I am at fantasy sports.
Fuck you. I scored like fucking 170 this week. I was on a roll.
Damn.
All right, moving on. Those are the two we like this week. I'll leave the number below right here. You'll probably see it like right around here-ish, around maybe. We'll figure out exactly where I'll put it when we get there. But yeah, leave us your comments,
Could be
questions.
anything.
If you got a comment, you got a question, you want to tell me go fuck myself, fucking leave it.
You want to ask why a New York Jets fan is wearing a Los Angeles Rams jersey? It's because Aaron Donald's a monster.
And we figured we'd go winners, losers, you know.
And my thing is the Jets are so bad that I'm allowed to take a second team for this season. And if you're going to go, like, geographically, LA is the opposite part of the country, opposite conference, different color schemes. I think let me know. Maybe leave a voicemail. Let me know if I'm wrong. But for real, any football questions, fantasy questions, you want to talk Mets, Jets, Knicks, Nets, anything, let us know.
Fighting. Any type of fighting questions, any type of anything. Just fucking leave it. And hey, you can make it on the show like we did today. All right, moving on though. What game would you like to start with?
All right, so we're going into, what is it, week 13 now?
13.
Oh, that's so sad. It's so close to the end.
I mean, we still got playoffs and stuff.
Yeah, that's true, but there's no Thursday night game because today we're recording this is Thursday. Again, we had the WAP, Wednesday afternoon pigskin. So the first game on the board I'm looking at is the Saints and the Falcons. These teams played 2 weeks ago. Taysom Hill led the Saints to victory.
Yeah, but the Falcons seem to have figured it out last week, so this could be a little bit more interesting of a game than we had originally anticipated.
Raheem Morris has them at 4-2 since he's taken over. This is in Atlanta. I don't know how much home field really matters when you have two teams that play in domes without fans.
Yeah. But I think if Taysom pulls out this one, I'm a little more confident in having Taysom as your starter.
Right.
Because then he's won 3 games. I understand the last game doesn't overly count. I mean,
A win's a win.
yeah, and he still had to face, just because the quarterbacks were out doesn't mean you don't have to face the Broncos defense.
Right, and the Broncos defense has actually been playing very well.
Right. So I think this is the one. You win this one, you've kind of solidified yourself as, okay, you're a quarterback in this league. at the very least.
What I think this game's going to come down to is just Julio Jones, if he plays or not. If Julio plays, he's shown throughout his career that he doesn't really get stopped by Marshawn Lattimore on the
Right.
Saints. I think that just opens the field for them, because if he's out, you put Marshawn Lattimore on Calvin Ridley, and that just slows down the Falcons' entire offense.
Yes, I do agree with that, but also they were figuring it out last week without him. And I'm not saying adding Julio Jones isn't going to make that even 10 times better. Like, it's not a shot at Julio. I'm just saying, like, even without him, I still think they have a fighting chance.
Part of last week was that the Oakland Raiders, or Las Vegas Raiders, sorry about that one,
Dude,
time jump.
all these fucking team changes are crazy
It's
right
just
now.
a reflex. Like, I'm probably still going to say San Diego Chargers at some point.
Yeah, I still, like, this is the first year where I feel comfortable saying the LA Rams and not the St. Louis Rams.
Yeah.
Like,
It's weird. Last week, the Raiders kind of helped the Falcons, though, with Derek Carr turning it over 4 times, and Jacobs fumbled it a couple of times. So the Saints, if the Saints don't turn the ball over as much as the Raiders did, which I don't think they will,
right.
I think that'll be a very competitive game. And obviously, the Saints need it to lock up that number 1 seed.
Do they lock it up with this week with the win?
I don't know if they lock it up, but they're a game in front of the Seahawks, and the Seahawks right now, the next 2 weeks, they get the New York double where they play the Giants, and then next week the Jets.
Rough.
And I think the Browns actually do the same thing, where, I don't know, like 2 weeks from now, I think the Browns go Giants, Jets, same situation.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
All right. Yeah, nothing really big on that game. Next game, Browns Titans.
All right, Devin said, "What's up?" That's what I said. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Cereal soup.
All right. So moving on, Browns Titans. I definitely want to talk about this game because the Browns have been on a sneaky run. But does that sneaky run allow you to stop Derrick Henry?
Myles Garrett will be back for this game.
True.
Something to keep an eye on is going to be that one-on-one of this incredible run stopper against the unstoppable runner of Derrick Henry.
Immovable force meets a indestructible object, whatever it is.
Yeah,
whatever that saying
something like that from The Dark Knight. Like you were saying last week, Derrick Henry is making his MVP push.
Yeah.
And I think this is a game where the Browns have a couple injuries in the secondary. I know they're going to be without at least one of their starting safeties. If Tannehill can just make enough happen in the passing game that opens up the field a little bit for Derrick Henry, I think the Titans are going to win this game by a lot.
See, I think everyone's still kind of stuck on Miami Ryan Tannehill because he's not used as much in this offense because it's so run heavy.
And you know who his coach was in Miami? Adam Gase.
Yeah. So I don't worry about him like a lot of other people do.
Right.
Like not as much anyway. Like do I think he's like Drew Brees? No. But do I think he's a good quarterback, especially for what they do? Yeah.
He's definitely made the next step. A.J. Brown is a great receiver. It definitely helps him there.
Right.
I just look at like the Browns again last week, a close game with the Jaguars. Roughing the passer made it closer. The Browns lost by a lot to the Steelers, a lot to the Ravens. Coming into this, they're 6-point underdogs. I just think the Titans have been clicking. I think I could see this going like 31-13 Titans.
Really? You think it's going to be that much
I
of
think
a
it'll
blowout?
be bad. Yeah. I mean, I could blow up in my face and Baker can come out and be great Baker, but Baker's been inconsistent.
He has been inconsistent, but like I said, with Odell Beckham out, I feel like he's spreading the ball around better, and that's what I think has been leading them to these better games that they've been having over the last few weeks.
Right, and I think a lot of praise needs to go to Jarvis Landry, who's having a great year.
Great year.
Jarvis Landry and Odell are like, it's funny because they grew up together, went to the same high school, same college.
They're like
best friends,
yeah.
opposite personalities, where Jarvis Landry, where like 2 years ago in Hard Knocks was coming in and saying, look, we're going to take this as professional as possible. And I'm not saying that Odell isn't professional. Odell's got an air, like an ego.
I think everyone plays that up a little bit because, like, yeah, he did the stupid thing with giving out the money at the college game and blah, 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 blah. But if you talk to any if you listen to an interview from any of his former teammates, every single one of them says, "Nah, he's the best teammate. He works hard. He motivates people. He's a very like outgoing type person. It's never between him and his teammates. It might be between him and the organization. It might be like he's not afraid to speak his mind per se, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
That's a very good point. It's just like you said, when he's on the field, Baker tries to force it to him because
Right.
I think at least a part of that is that Baker knows if he doesn't keep Odell happy, he will hear about it from Odell.
Right. But I also think if he's letting his best friend Jarvis Landry eat,
He doesn't have a choice. Odell's out with.
no, but I'm saying like when Odell's in, I think it's just more like when you have a generational wide receiver talent like Odell Beckham Jr., you want to feed him the ball, and Baker's just trying to do it too much. Because I think, especially if it's like him and Landry going off, like I think he'd be happy to see his best friend be like also get some catches. Like he's gonna want his own. He's gonna want his 9-10 targets a game at the very minimum. But if they're winning, if he gets a ring out of it, I'm sure he's 100%. He'd be able to eat the fact that he's not getting as many targets, especially when the other main target that they're probably going to have is his best friend.
So you just said ring. And I think this is a debate question we could have. Of these two teams, both teams, 8-3, the Browns and the Titans, which of these teams do you think is going to win a ring first? Or if any? Because right now you're looking like
Probably, I would say the Titans, just because the coaching situation on the Browns, I'm still not 100% sold on.
Stefanski's he's making the team work.
He is making the team work, but it's the Browns organization. You never really know. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
This is a great game for running backs.
true.
Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt on one side, Derek the Monster Henry, King Henry.
I have a lot more faith in Mike Vrabel than I do.
Is that a Belichick connection?
No, it's just the way he's just before the last couple years when Derrick Henry's broke out and they brought in Tannehill, like during the Marcus Mariota years, like did you really think about them at all?
No, I didn't, and I don't think that Marcus Mariota is anything anymore.
Right.
Derek Carr got benched, and instead of Marcus Mariota, they went with Nathan Peterman. So sorry
Wow.
about that one, but I agree. I think the Titans are probably better primed, especially when you consider the divisions, how the Browns are not going to have the home field in the playoffs. The Titans are in first place, so they will. I think that helps them this year, especially.
I think the Browns have more raw talent than the Titans do. Just raw talent, but I feel like the Titans have the plan going forward. They have everything in the right places to use the talent that they have and get their max potential.
Well said. And I think the next couple of years, they're both going to be teams we keep our eye on.
For sure.
All right.
How could you not?
Yeah, and I think moving to the next game, the Bengals-Dolphins, both teams took rookie quarterbacks, so you want to keep an eye on them. But there's a very good chance that, obviously, Burrow's out for the year. There's a good chance Tua misses again.
But I think they're going for a run. I think they're trying to get to the wild card, and I think Ryan, at this point, even if Tua does become healthy again, I think Ryan Fitzpatrick probably gives them their best chance at that.
I agree. I think there's no reason, given Tua's injury history with Alabama, given that the Bengals, this is an 11-point spread. The Dolphins are going to win this game.
Right.
With Joe Burrow playing, it would have been more competitive. Without Joe Burrow, the Dolphins are going to win this game. The Dolphins are going to be 8-4. Let the Fitzmagic run.
Even though they haven't been doing terrible. T. Higgins has still been eating.
Yeah.
Not like he was with Joe Burrow, but I have him in fantasy, so I keep an eye on him a little more. But he's been getting 13, 14, 15 points a game still out of the slot.
He can definitely play.
Out of the flex.
He's a great rookie receiver, and I think, we were just saying, these are teams to keep an eye on for the future. Where I think we talked about this last week, where they have Mixon, they have Higgins, they have Tyler Boyd. Once Burrow is healthy, they can put it together.
AJ Green, if they do keep him,
I think it's time you cash the check on AJ Green and trade him and see what you can get.
Yeah, but I also wouldn't hate him. Wouldn't hate it because you have Boyd, you have Higgins, you have AJ Green now. That's a great wide receiver core for your young quarterback.
It's just going to be at least a full year until Joe Burrow plays again.
Right.
And if you're AJ Green, you're getting up there. I could see him saying, "Look, I want to play for
A contender.
the Titans, a team who could use another receiver."
Or I think he'd be a great option for the Ravens too.
Yes, absolutely.
Just him and Hollywood Brown. I think that makes that receiving core a lot more dangerous.
Definitely. For that game, I just see the Dolphins winning that game pretty sound, and Brian Flores is going to have the Miami Dolphins at 8-4, which I think you got to put his name in the conversation for Coach of the Year.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's like without question. All right, let's move on. You had a little bit of a hot take about this game, so let's get on into it. How do you feel the Steelers versus the Washington football team is going to end up?
So this game's happening, I believe, on Monday, right? The Steelers played yesterday, so the Steelers are going to have 5 days of rest. The Washington football team last played on Thanksgiving. They're going to have, the math is like 10 or 11 days of rest. You have a well-rested Washington team against a Steelers team that came out flat against the Ravens. The Steelers are going to be without Pouncey, their all-pro center. They're going to be without Bud Dupree, who they lost for the season. The Washington football team has the highest rate of sacking the opposing quarterback in the league. The second is the Steelers, so best pass rushes. I'm going to come up with the hot take. The Washington football team becomes the first team this year to beat the Steelers. I can see this being big upset. Scorching hot takes, write it down, call me out when it blows up in my face and the Steelers win by 30. But I can see Chase Young, I can see Montez Sweat just getting at Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger, as we know, does not have the mobile ability to make guys miss.
Right.
He's going to be missing, potentially, he might be missing his right tackle, who I can't pronounce his name for the life of me, but he left the game against the Ravens injured. If you got a couple of down linemen, I think the Washington football team can make it happen.
See, something like, yeah, he's not mobile, but people underestimate how tough he is in the pocket. Like, he's not just going to go down. He'll take the hit to get the ball off. Like,
oh, yeah. And he has a great group of receivers.
Right. So, but I can see where you're coming from. Like, that defense is a problem. The offense hasn't been able to get it together, but they're starting to string it together. Now, honestly, I think Alex Smith was probably the best thing that happened to them this year because he's been playing solid at the very least.
Absolutely. And I'm going to be very, very scared every time I see TJ Watt coming at Alex Smith's legs.
Oh, yeah.
But I just think, especially with like Terry McLaurin, great receiver, you have Bud Dupree is going to be out, which means the running game for Antonio Gibson's going to be slightly elevated. I think if you're the Steelers and you're looking ahead, because they play the Bills in 2 or 3 weeks, they play the Browns again. Like maybe not the Browns. They have better opponents coming up. Let's put it like that. This could be a very simple trap game. I think the spread on it's 8, which is, to me, I would lock in the Washington football team plus 8.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a very interesting Monday 5:00 kickoff. 2020.
No, it's not. It's Sunday at 1.
I don't think that's right. I think that got rescheduled because the Steelers.
Oh, you're right. They haven't updated.
So,
They haven't updated on the site we're looking at. All right.
yeah,
Sorry.
That site, I think it's called Google. Weird.
That damn Google.
I got another hot take. 2 hot takes actually. The quarterback position. So one of them. Let's talk Vikings Jaguars.
Okay.
The Vikings have won 4 of the last 5.
True.
Kirk Cousins over the last 4 games has had 11 touchdowns to 1 interception.
Right.
He's had at least 290 yards in each of his last 3 games, and now he gets to face the Jaguars, who have like one of the worst secondaries, if not the worst. It's them and the Jets.
No.
Yeah.
Seahawks.
Well, yes. The 3 of them are like literally the worst.
Yeah.
So the 3 of them. Last week, with Thielen out, Cousins still had 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Thielen
True.
comes back. Dalvin Cook missed some of last game against the Panthers. He might be limited. My hot take is that Kirk Cousins is going to be the guy you want to start in DraftKings. He's going to be the guy you want to start in fantasy if you can pick him up. I think Kirk Cousins is going to have, maybe it's not even a hot take because they've been playing well. I think Kirk Cousins is going to eat the Jaguars alive.
Well, Yeah, you automatically assume they're going to eat the Jaguars alive because other than the Jets, the Jaguars are the most trash team in the league.
Yes.
But I feel like Kirk Cousins still has that primetime Kurt thing, even though I feel like he's gotten past that.
He has. But this game is not going to be primetime.
But I know, but just any time, I don't mean I say primetime Kurt because that's the name, but I mean like anything with like stakes in it. At this point, because they've gone on this run, they're
Did you say with steaks in it?
yeah.
Oh, are you talking about when he cooked his steaks with tinfoil and got ripped apart on Twitter?
No, I'm talking about how
He recently gave an interview where he addressed it, and he was like, "Yeah, that's just how I liked my steaks, but I learned very quickly from the internet that's not how most people cook their steaks." And he was real humble about it. So shout out Kirk. But
so yeah, I was watching him on the Pat McAfee show recently, and he just seems like a humble, down to earth guy. Like I actually like him better now that I've seen him. You know what I mean?
I just listened to an interview this morning, and yeah, I like him.
But I think, and he said it himself in the Pat McAfee interview, he's just like, all I'm trying to do is grow every year and be a better quarterback, and I feel like I'm achieving that, and I feel like this year shows it, and I agree with him.
Yeah, I think this year he's really making strides, and it's not crazy to think the Vikings could make a run they'll win this game. They'll beat the Jaguars. They'll be 6-6.
And
Not out of it.
yeah, they're like they could still make a run to try to get a wild card slot. It's not unconceivable. I don't know exactly what their schedule looks like later in the year, but we'll get to that road when those weeks come.
The other NFC North matchup, the Bears and the Lions. I got a hot take on this one too. Mitch Trubisky's going to feast. Mitch Trubisky played the Lions in the beginning of the year when the Bears came back, 3 touchdowns in the third quarter. He had like 26 fantasy points. Allen Robinson is a grown man, and I don't think the Lions have anyone in the secondary that can keep up with him. Again, I don't think the Bears are a great team, but I think Trubisky's going to put up a very fantasy-relevant game.
And I feel like the Lions have just been floundering over the past few weeks. I feel like they just have no idea what they're like. I think they just don't know what they're trying to do.
Without Galladay, without Amendola, without Swift, like credit to Matt Stafford for not having absolutely terrible games, but
Right.
he's very limited in offense. They don't seem like they have an identity on defense. Patricia just got fired, so I don't know who's the interim coach over there.
Yeah, they have no idea where they're going, what they're doing. They're just trying to get out of this season and figure it out from there.
Yeah, that's the Lions. I mean, historically speaking, if you've heard this before, the Lions are not in a great place.
Oh, no way, dude.
No way.
Hot take. The Jets are probably not going to hire the right coach next year. Just hot take, all right?
Well, hot take. I think the right coach doesn't want to come to the Jets. Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs. Why would you leave Patrick Mahomes to come take over the Jets?
I mean, ego. You want to be a head coach. But
I would literally rather, personally.
especially if he gets another ring this year. Okay, you got 2 rings with them. Like, I would try to go as head coach. And to be fair, I feel like going in the Jets situation, especially now with Joe Douglas there, I think it's not the worst situation to head into right now. Because you finally have a competent GM. You literally get to build a team in your image. You have all this draft capital from all these trades they've been making. You have, I think, the most cap space out of any team in the league. You have Quentin Williams has been number 1 in sacks, number 1 in run stops, and number 1 in another category over the last 6 weeks. You have, if you like Darnold, stick with Darnold. Trade the pick. They have more picks. If not, you can go with Lawrence. And then you still have a plethora of other picks to surround him with guys. Pick up an edge rusher in free agency. Pick up a wide receiver in free agency.
I think
you have options to build that team in your image. That's what I
Very
think.
true.
That's what I think would make the Jets an attractive place to try to go in.
My only question is, what if you're Eric Bieniemy, or, I mean, he's just the name that came to mind. What if you're like Jim Harbaugh, who's probably going to get fired from Michigan because Michigan sucks? If you're coming in and you're the coach and you're saying, I want to start, like you said, I want to start everything my way. I want Trevor Lawrence. What if Joe Douglas says, we're keeping Darnold? What if it's the opposite, where Harbaugh comes in and says, I can make Darnold work, and Joe Douglas says, we're going Trevor Lawrence.
Well, I think that's going to be part of the interview process. It's finding, like, whose game plan works with Joe's game plan. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Who's going to, I guess, in a way, toe the company line.
Not even so much toe the company line, but you don't want to even, like, he'd never do it because he hates the Jets, but even say Belichick came on the market this year just out of nowhere. Fucking even, but you go into the interview, you have this guy, Joe Douglas, we love him, we think he's doing a great job, correct? So if they get into the meeting and Belichick's, goes, I'm thinking this, and this, and Joe Douglas, actually I'm thinking the exact opposite, but then you get another great coach like Eric Bieniemy or whoever who comes in and is just like, hey, this would be my plan for the team, and Joe Judge would be like, oh, like, I would switch this guy for that guy, but yeah, that's pretty much my basic same plan too. You want the cohesiveness. You don't want to go
the visions to align.
You don't want to go into something where you know right from the beginning that you're going to clash.
That's fair. So I guess let's talk about the Jets. Let's get into Jets-Raiders. Do you think they stand a chance? The Raiders look terrible against the Falcons.
I agree, and for some reason, the Jets always go off. I was at the Jets-Raiders game last year. Great time. I got the tickets for my dad for his birthday. It was either his birthday or Father's Day. I don't remember. So we go. We're having a great time. Well, and I tell you, I get there, and there was more Raiders fans than there were Jet fans.
I believe it.
Like, it was basically a Raiders home game. And boy, let me tell you, when they went down like 46 to like 7
Yeah, shit pumping
against the Jets, they got real quiet real quick. And then I remember I was in the stands. I was with my dad. We were going off. I had a couple beers in me at this point. I was staying at a hotel like right down the street, so I was good. Like, I was ready to get like fucking drunk. So we're going, and there's this guy in like the next like row over from us, and he's screaming at another guy, "Oh, you guys are still 3-7 or whatever our record was at that point last year." It's just like blah 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 blah, and I just get up. Like I said, a little drunk at this point. Usually not this guy. Get up, just scream at the motherfucker, and you're losing by like 40 points, dick.
Yeah, you let him know.
And my fucking dad just reaches up. Because my dad has a problem with his foot, so, like, getting up is not easy for him. So he reaches up, grabs my arm, and goes, "Christopher, you need to calm down." But I could just see the little glimmer of his eyes, just the pride of just like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted when I had a son.
Yes, he's willing to fight someone for the Jets.
He might have made the smart decision and calming me down, but in his eyes, he's just like, good. At least I know I got a real one here.
There you go. It's a great story.
That's one of my favorite stories with my dad. I'm not gonna lie.
That's a great Jets-Raiders. Just the anger of the fans. Because I remember, like, back in the day, the Jets and Raiders, they played each other like week 17 in Oakland, and then like the first round of the playoffs, they played each other again in Oakland.
Yeah.
I don't think that's gonna happen this year. They're not gonna be in the playoffs.
True.
Jets have been eliminated. I think the Jets can actually keep this close.
Like I said, for some reason, they do well against Gruden's Raiders.
Gruden does not play well on the East Coast. It's a weird thing. I don't know if it's the time difference. I don't know if it's like however they go about their scheduling. Gruden might just be a kind of guy who just doesn't like the East Coast. Gruden does his own stuff. I think the way you saw it, like I was saying all last podcast, was that Derek Carr had the perfect matchup in the Falcons, and it was absolutely horrible. The Jets are just like the Jets, the Falcons, the Jaguars, and the Seahawks have the worst pass defenses in the league. The Jets could stay in this game because I don't think Derek Carr is going to perform well.
Yeah, I can definitely see it. And it sucks because I felt like Derek Carr was finally having the year where people were starting to believe in him.
Yeah.
And it's just that last game, he did not look good.
I think the loss to the Chiefs really took a toll on him. Like, you saw the meme of him looking angry on the sidelines, like real heated about it. I think that played an effect, and like he just came out so flat. The team came out so flat. Like Josh Jacobs, stud. He fumbled it twice. He had like 30 yards total. I mean, Jacobs could tear up the Jets. I'd see that. I think
But-
Hunter Renfrow will quietly have a really good game.
I think he's either good. Like, I don't think he has an okay game in this. I think he either flounders like he did last week, or he has his bounce back game and fucking just eats all over the Jets.
Right. And I think that's like,
I think there's no middle ground.
in terms of fantasy, I completely agree with you. Where like, if you have Derek Carr on your team, play him at your own risk. He's either going to put up 25 or
Yeah.
like 4.
If you have
or 0.6.
If you have a deep league and like someone's on a bye, I don't know, like whatever, just for some or like you had like Tua and he's hurt, or just
Lamar and he's got Coco. And
yeah, and you're in a deep lead and you're floundering for someone, it's a risky play, but I think it's a play.
And if you're talking DraftKings, Sam Darnold is going to be very cheap, and I don't see any sign of life from the Raiders defense because
None at all.
they got picked apart by Matt Ryan last week. 2 weeks ago, obviously Patrick Mahomes is going to tear apart anybody, but they had no answer. Like that last like the Chiefs moved the ball all the way down the field in about 45 seconds, and it was just too easy. I think Darnold, he's let us down plenty of times before. I'm glad to see you still wearing the jersey because my love for him, I have his jersey. I chose to wear Aaron Donald. Say what you want. Darnold could have a bounce back spot here, and I think it'll be a competitive game.
And he's also had a game to kind of get back in rhythm. Like the rhythm of an NFL game is different than anything. It's gonna be different than practice. You know what I mean?
And he came out looking terrible, but the Dolphins have a much better defense than the Raiders, and I think this could be a get-right spot. I don't think the Jets are going to win the game, but I could see it definitely covering the 8-point spread. I could see that being a closer game.
These last 5 games now are basically to see if I feel like it's basically to see, are we getting Lawrence or are we going to trade out of the pick and get multiple picks to put the weapons around Sam?
In a way, this is Darnold, like we were talking about interviewing to see if you align with the vision. This is going to be Joe Douglas auditioning Darnold to see, like, look, if he can play, maybe you build around him, but if he plays like how he did last week, you got to take Trevor Lawrence.
But look what he did last season. He comes back from his enlarged spleen and goes on a fucking run.
We don't make spleen jokes in this house. I just declared that because I had spleen surgery last summer.
Oh, I'm going to make all the spleen jokes now.
My fantasy teams are usually like berries and spleen.
Really?
Like spleen cheese and like, yes, all of that. Big spleen surgery here. So shout out spleens.
Shout out to spleens. Hopefully yours isn't enlarged. Don't get mono.
Anyways, the next game, the Colts and Texans, is going to be a very interesting game. Deshaun Watson balling out. Will Fuller.
Yeah, I feel like it's the surging team the declining team at the moment.
But the Texans got the huge blow of Will Fuller and Bradley Roby, who's been their best cornerback.
True.
6-game suspension ending their season.
Yeah.
They said it wasn't steroids. They both players, Will Fuller and Bradley Roby, put out statements saying it was like,
basically Will Fuller had something happen to him. He took a prescription medication that he was told was on the NFL's, like, either you can get an exemption for or like whatever, but he got the wrong information and he's owning up to it, which, hey, like, if it's the truth, fucking good for you. Own up for it. Just let's move past it.
So
if it's the truth.
It's a big if, because like I'm inclined to believe him. I don't see any reason not to, except that the strength and conditioning coach for the Houston Texans is Brian Cushing.
True.
Brian Cushing, steroid suspension. You ever see like the greatest Google? If you got a second, pause the video. Google Brian Cushing, USC. His freshman year, he comes in as like a relatively muscular human being, and by his senior year, he looks like a bodybuilder, like just massively large.
I know, but most strength and conditioning people you see are usually, at the very least, former steroid users.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, like that.
Well, he was suspended in college and in the NFL for steroids. I mean, Brian Cushing.
True.
He has the legendary video where he's mic'd up, helmet off, headbutting a dude in the helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's some Jose Canseco type shit right there. So
no, yeah, that But when you see all these, like every time a fighter posts a picture with their strength and conditioning coach and their big, like fucking huge yoked up guys, everyone's just like, oh, they must be on steroids now. It's just like, no, it's just these guys aren't competing for anything right now, so fuck it.
Why not get massive? Except Brian Cushing was on steroids, so he might
right, but that was also in the wild, wild west days of every sport.
True. It's just like we were saying, like you were just saying, is that like the Texans playing well, riding high, coming in on an upswing. The Colts just got embarrassed at home to the Titans. And I think if Will Fuller plays, if Bradley Roby plays, I think the Texans at home would win this game. I think they'd pull off the upset. Without them, they have a not so great defense to begin with. When you take away their top cornerback,
And they're already missing like David Johnson, even though Duke's been playing well.
Duke's been what? Yeah, but now that you don't have the top
Right.
receiver, it's just gonna be that much harder. I think the Colts are gonna win this game pretty easily. Phil Rivers has been very quietly over the last like 3 or 4 games has been averaging like 285 passing yards a game.
Yeah.
So I could see he's a viable fantasy play as well. If you're doing DraftKings, whatever, and obviously Deshaun Watson, any given week, he's in that category with Patrick Mahomes, where he's just doesn't matter who they're playing.
Yeah, even when the team's having an off game, he can usually get you something. Usually.
I mean, he puts up a 30 burger in a loss. Anyways, so the next game we see is the New York Football Giants. First place versus first place. The leader of the East, the Giants, take on the leader of the NFC West, the Seahawks. Daniel Jones is out. It's going to be Colt McCoy versus Russell Wilson.
Another person, just best name.
Colt McCoy?
Yeah.
10 out of 10. Dude, he was a starting quarterback for the Texas Longhorns. Tell
Named
me-
Colt McCoy. Come
Tell
on.
me he wasn't born to be the starting quarterback for the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah, but let's be honest. We all know who that game's gonna go.
Yeah,
Russell Wilson's going to have a game.
I mean, Bradbury's a great cornerback. He can slow down Metcalf for like a play or two. I mean, Metcalf proved last week. There's
Unless your name's Jalen Ramsey, you're not stopping him.
Jalen Ramsey and the Rams.
But yeah. So I really don't have much to say on that.
I just want to say, like last week on the Monday night game, there was a play where Darius Slay literally gave no separation, and he was just on Metcalf, just had him covered. Metcalf just reached behind him
Yep.
and just caught the ball. And at that point, even the announcers were like, Darius Slay could not have played that better, but Metcalf is just a monster.
He's too good. Like he really is.
This game's kind of similar to the Bengals-Dolphins, like we were saying, where the Dolphins are going to win the game. It would have been more fun if Burrow was playing for the Bengals, make it a little exciting.
True.
I don't think Daniel Jones would lead the Giants to a victory in Seattle, but it would at least make it competitive and more compelling to watch.
For sure.
Next week, the Seahawks literally run it back where they have the other New York team, so they can just breeze into a nice little 3-game stretch.
And eat.
Which is huge because right now they're in first place. Let's go to the other NFC West matchup, the Rams, my Rams, and the Arizona Cardinals. This game is huge because the Rams win this game, they become 8-5. They lose this game, they become no, I don't know if my math's right. We're gonna cut that.
I don't know. I don't remember the exact math on it, but yeah, it's definitely a pivotal game for both teams. Like a win keeps you in your playoff berth, and a loss can knock you out, especially where, like, in the division.
Well, with the Cardinals, especially losing last week to the Patriots, the Cardinals are now only 6-5, so they're a game over. The Rams are 7-4. 1 game separates them. The Cardinals win this, they're both 7-5. The Cardinals have the tiebreak. The Rams win this, the Rams are 8-4. The Cardinals are 6-6. Like, this is a must-win for Kyler Murray and the Cardinals.
Oh yeah.
I don't think they're going to win. I think Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, like you just said, just such a strong defense that we saw the Patriots defense shut Kyler down.
But he's also going to be on DeAndre Hopkins.
Right.
If anyone's going to cause Jalen Ramsey some problems, I feel like it's D-Hop.
He shut down Metcalf a couple weeks ago. I mean,
I
that's
agree.
going to be a great matchup to watch.
Yeah,
It's going to come down to who else can make a play for the Cardinals.
I agree.
Larry Fitz, I think, has COVID. He missed last week.
And I think it's going to be a lot more like little RPO type things, probably getting Kyler out of the box.
Definitely, probably the best way to keep him alive against Aaron Donald is to keep him away from Aaron Donald.
Right.
The other side of the ball, I don't know what the Cardinals really excel at on defense. I mean, Patrick Patterson is not who he used to be. Budda Baker's a great cornerback,
True.
but we know, speaking of RPOs, like Sean McVay and the Rams love to have guys moving around. You have Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, who are both great receivers Cam Akers came on strong. I think this is a must win for both teams, and I think the Rams get it.
I could definitely see it. Jalen Ramsey on D-Hop worries me, so I'd probably lean that way too.
I think that's going to be like the one-on-one matchup of the week.
All right. Just moving on, just to finish off around the league, Eagles Packers. We pretty much know how that's gonna go. Carson Wentz can't keep it together.
Carson Wentz turns the ball over a lot. He's going to be facing Zaire Alexander, the cornerback for the Packers. He's like having an unbelievable season. Aaron Rodgers, we know, is Aaron Rodgers. Like you said, I think the Packers win that game without much of a fight.
I'd say the same thing with Ravens Cowboys. Even though, like we said, Andy Dalton, best quarterback in the NFC East. But
well, I don't know. I think that game's going to be really sneaky because of how many people might be out still for the Ravens.
True. We don't know how Lamar's getting on with the COVID. We don't know.
Like,
That's the only thing that makes me a little iffy on that game.
Well, Mark Andrews is, like we talked about last time, he's a diabetic. He might be seriously sick. Hopefully, like as of now, knock on wood, like he's doing fine.
We haven't heard anything to the contrary.
But that game's going to be played on Tuesday. It's going to be another weird situation with practices for the Ravens. I think the Cowboys played well against the Vikings. They looked terrible against the Washington football team. I think the Ravens can win that game. I think they just have more talent. But it comes down to who plays and who doesn't.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Andy Dalton, Trey McSorley, Tuesday night.
It's definitely going to be an interesting game. Let's put it that way.
It'll be interesting.
Broncos Chiefs.
Broncos Chiefs. We love the AFC West.
What's that graphic
The
they always do?
Yeah, I don't see this one being close either. I mean,
yeah, this is like even if everyone clears protocols and they get all their quarterbacks back,
it's still Drew Lock leading a team against the Chiefs.
The only people they're gonna get back is Drew Lock and Blake Bortles. So
they still, it's just you can't stop Patrick Mahomes. You can only hope to slow him down.
And the Chiefs defense, who was kind of like they kind of had the reputation of the Seahawks this year, outstanding offense, dog shit defense for the last couple of years. But this year, I feel like they're sneaking in as like a solid defense.
They're playing well. That's gonna be the Sunday night game. So, the national broadcast, NBC, they love Patrick Mahomes. He's their hero. We're gonna hear every Patrick Mahomes story possible, which is fair. Whatever.
I mean, the way he plays, I understand.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill. Chris Collinsworth, former receiver. He's gonna just you can literally hear his mouth salivating of Tyreek Hill. Here's a guy, and just.
Oh my God.
But the Chiefs, rightfully so, are going to win that game handily. Other AFC West team we got over here, the Los Angeles Rams against the Los Angeles Chargers.
I was about to say, we already did that.
We just did the Rams. The Chargers taking on the Patriots. Look, Cam did not play well, but they won the game. The Chargers did not play well. They lost to the Bills. That's one of those games where I can see just going either way, to be honest. I can't get a read.
These last two games we're going to talk about are the two games that, out of the last couple we've been talking about, that have any real interest to me, like where I'm like, where could this go, blah, 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 blah. Because the Patriots, they've been having a down season, but they always can kind of figure it out, especially with Belichick and all that. And all they need the running game to kind of start and for Cam to have an okay game, and the defense can kind of carry them from there. That's always kind of been their play, you know what I mean? So I think especially young quarterback, Bill Belichick does not lose to young quarterbacks.
Right.
But Herbert's been playing great. So this game I don't have a pick for. I wouldn't be able to.
I can't get a read on it. If I had to go anywhere, so just based on like you just said, Belichick against a rookie quarterback, edge Belichick, but Herbert is a star. He's going to be a star.
Stud.
That's going to be a fun game. I mean, neither team's going to make a playoff impact, but that'll be a fun game. And last but certainly not least, on Monday Night Football, the Buffalo Bills playing the San Francisco 49ers. This game, I mean, if Nick Bosa was healthy, you would see Nick Bosa do exactly what Joey Bosa did last week to the Bills and just live in the backfield.
But he's not, and I don't think that's going to happen. And I don't think I think Josh Allen plays with them. I really do.
Wait, say that again?
I think Josh Allen plays with them, like plays with them like they're toys. Like I think he has a big night.
Richard Sherman came back. He had a good week last week. I think the Bills are the Bills are just a better team, but I could see this being a slower game than expected. I think people think the Bills think very show deep throws and run the ball for big gains, but I think this is going to be a more 49ers type game where it's defense and running.
I could definitely see it, but I don't have a lot of faith in what the 49ers have right now.
Very valid, but they are getting back Brandon Ayuk, and last week Deebo Samuel came back, had 11 catches for 120 yards.
True.
The Bills' secondary hasn't been great. Obviously, Trey White.
Yeah.
Great cornerback, but the rest of the secondary has not been where it needs to be. Josh Allen's still going to have a limited line, so maybe they can get some pressure on him. I think the Bills will take care of business.
All right, so now that we've kind of gone through how we think everything's going to go, we're going to lock in Eric's 5 picks of the week. Starting off, because we like to be miserable here, start off with the hometown boys. How do you think Jets Raiders is going to go?
Give me a hot sec. I'm going to pull up the spreads. I'm using Bovada. I don't know if we should plug them or legally what the issues are with that.
No, because they're not based in the U.S. It's technically legal.
Let's take a gander. So where is it? I want to cut this as I'm aimless. The Jets are 8.5-point underdogs at home to the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm all over the map. I think the Jets stay within the 8.5. I don't think the Jets win the game, but 8.5 is a lot for a home team. The Raiders been playing really poorly. The Raiders are now 6-5. At one point they were 6-3, looking steady. I don't know. I don't believe in them. Derek Carr broke my heart last week. John Gruden is just kind of John Gruden. Never know what to take. I'm gonna say Jets plus 8.5.
Ooh, taking the Jets.
Yeah.
That's
not gonna win the game.
Right, but even with the points, it's still.
I can see them staying within a touchdown. 8.5's a lot.
There's not many points in the season where you pick the Jets with the spread.
Nah,
so
nah, definitely not. I can't say I have.
All right, so let's move on. Give you another little bit of an easier one. Browns-Titans.
Browns-Titans right now. The Browns are +6. The Titans are 6-point favorites. I would take the Titans. I think the Titans at home
win by at least a
touchdown.
By
a touchdown.
I could definitely see it. It just kind of depends on how Baker plays.
It always depends on how Baker plays. And like you said, they have the raw talent with Juice Landry, with Chubb, with Kareem Hunt. Austin Hooper's a great tight end.
Great.
Offense is there. Defense, you have Myles Garrett, so they can create stops. Derrick Henry, late in the season, tractor seat, though, is what they call him. I just see the Titans.
Yeah, you really can't pick against him. In the last 4 games of the year, he always shows out.
He just goes nuts. My other favorite that I'm taking, we talked about a little bit, the Indianapolis Colts are 3.5-point favorites.
That's exactly where I was going, actually.
This actually started, it was a 2-point spread. It's up to 3.5. I still think the Colts are going to win this game by a lot. Deshaun Watson without, he has Brandon Cooks, who, don't get me wrong, is a great wide receiver.
True.
Xavier Rhodes and Brandon Cooks. No David Johnson. No Will Fuller. No Bradley Roby on defense. J.J. Watt can get to Phil Rivers, but
True.
I just think the Colts are a better team and are going to win that game by more than 3.5 points.
All right. Now this next one, we already kind of talked about how you feel about this one, but I'm making you lock this in. I'm making you eat this decision.
All right. Let's do it.
Washington football team versus the Steelers.
This game, I got to scroll all the way down because they are Tuesday game. I don't even see them on here. Please hold. Technical difficulties. Hey,
Need to get some elevator music. I'll just put it in right here.
cut this. There isn't currently a spread on this game
So
on Bovada.
we'll get the spread and we'll get back to you.
I believe last I saw was 8 points for the Steelers. Again, I think the Redskins football team, we don't use that word. I think the Washington team will win this game. I'll take them. We'll find the spread later. Put money on the spread. Put money
But we know the spread is going against them, and he's picking them to win.
So that's my ballsy hot take.
Would you be ballsy enough to call it as a money line?
Yes.
Okay,
Dog of the day.
That's your pick for this week.
1 unit.
Money line.
$1 on the money line. That's my bold prediction. What else we got? One more?
One more. What could be a fun game to pick? How are we going to go? You know what? Let's go Bills 49ers. How do you think that one goes?
I was just about to say that one. Guess the spread on that.
Bills minus 4.5.
It's Bills -1.
Really?
This game's basically a pick 'em.
Wow. So you want to take that one money line too? We don't do a lot of money line talk here.
The money line is -120 for the Bills and even for the 49ers. So that's pretty much a toss-up. I'm going to go with the 49ers
To win?
to win.
Okay.
They're 1-point underdogs at home. I think they have a solid enough defense to take advantage of the offensive linemen who are out for the Bills. I can see that being an upset. And if that happens, if the 49ers win, they're 6-6. Are they back? Are they in it? I don't know. We'll find out.
I mean, in that division, and especially because that whole division's going up, I don't think they even make a wild card slot at this point. I really don't see them.
No, but they will be 6-6, 2 games better than the first place team in the NFC East.
Yeah, but
That's going to be a recurring thing. I'm just going to point out.
wins and losses don't matter, apparently.
I'm just going to point that out.
All right. So those are Eric's picks of the week. Lock them some bitches in.
Let's do it up.
All
If
right.
you got any questions, fantasy football, fighting.
If you want to yell at Eric for losing you money on his picks,
Yeah, yell away.
you ain't never gonna yell at me because I'm perfect on my picks.
We need a UFC event coming up for Chris to make all of us a lot of money.
That's next week's show.
We'll get there.
They're taking a week off because they got pay-per-views coming up, and that's what they do every time they have a pay-per-view. So,
But again, if you got any questions, feel free to call. Let us know what your thoughts are.
all right. So I think that's it for us today, guys. Thank you once again for watching episode 29.
Wait, time out. One last thing.
Oh, shit.
New,
Oh, shit.
New,
Oh,
record, new recurring segment. It's going to be Bill Walton history lessons. This is a thing that happened yesterday during the
I love it. I
North
love
Carolina Tar Heels Texas Longhorns basketball game. Bill Walton had no idea that there's a basketball game going on. He just saw North Carolina and Texas, and he went in to tell everybody. This is a history lesson about the Alamo. He went in to tell everybody that during the Alamo, the fight, the famous Battle of the Alamo, the Republic of Texas needed extra fighters. North Carolina sent their battalion in. North Carolina had 9 soldiers lose their lives at the Battle of the Alamo. Texas had 9 counties at the time. Do with that what you will, but Bill Walton let us all know that.
Hey, this is college sports, all right? These are student athletes. We need sports and a lesson every game.
There
Bill
you
Walton,
go.
you fucking did it right.
Bill Walton,
Keep it up.
educating the youth.
This is what we're here for, right? We're here to get an education because they don't pay them shit. Getting that education the right way. I love it. I love to see it.
There you go.
All right, guys. So now, this is actually, we're wrapping up for this episode 29. It was a fun one. Don't forget to leave them calls. I'll put the number back somewhere here.
Don't forget
Somewhere.
to like and subscribe and send to your friends and then unsubscribe so you can subscribe again and send it to more of your friends.
And comment all your stuff, whether it's on the phone or on the video, whatever the fuck you feel like. We're not really that picky. All right, this is the Basement Boys, Chris Gray, Eric Mincer. See ya.
See you next week, guys.
Welcome to the basement.